Nintendo has done some weird things in the past, sending the Queen of England a gold Wii, making Super Princess Peach, releasing so many new Super Mario Bros. Games that I'm scared that when I next open my fridge, a copy of New Super Luigi U will be in there. New Super Mario Bros. Almost everyone has played at least one, no one knows if it's bros or brothers, and most people are sick of them now. If you've clicked on this video, you've probably heard this 100 times over. The new Super Mario Bros. Series currently has 4 main games, 1 Luigi-based game, and 1 Switch port. On top of that, the new Super Mario Bros. Style has been reused in Super Mario Maker and Super Mario Run. But you've heard all of that already, so let's just head back to 2006 and begin with New Super Mario Bros. On the DS. New Super Mario Bros. Is a return to the classic side-scrolling Mario action that made the series a big success in the first place. Mario must go through enemy-filled stages from left to right to reach the flagpole at the end. The mechanics of New Super Mario Bros. Appear to be derived from the original Super Mario Bros. And Mario 3, with the item reserve feature ripped straight from Super Mario World. New abilities for 2D Mario include the ground pound and wall jump taken from Super Mario 64. Beta builds of the game show Mario having the ability to punch, and I am personally disappointed that you cannot punch Bowser Jr. in the face. Many classic items make a return. Super Mushroom gives an extra hit, the Fire Flower lets you shoot fireballs, and the Superstar provides limited invincibility. As with most mainline games, there are some new power-ups in this adventure. The main one is the Mega Mushroom, growing Mario to gargantuan proportions and allowing him to defeat almost any baddies in his way. Be careful of lava or poison though. Honestly, the Mega Mushroom feels completely underutilized. They basically created it just for the marketing and only brought it back a couple of times. It reappears in Mario Kart Wii and Tour, and in New Super Mario Bros. 2, and that's really it. It's barely in any stages in this game, in fact. Other new power-ups include the mini mushroom that shrinks you in size and is generally used only for special rooms, but is overall a bit rubbish. It's more of a power down than a power-up, and is ironically the only power-up to keep returning for the rest of the series. Finally, the blue shell, that gives the Mario Brothers the ability to shell dash or crouch for defense. It's cool, but I won't be losing any sleep over the blue shell not returning. Every stage has 3 star coins hidden in them. You use these coins to unlock gates that provide toad houses or secret levels. 2 of the worlds in this game are accessed by using a mini mushroom when fighting certain bosses, making them secret worlds. This is really cool, making the game shorter for casuals but giving those willing to take on more challenging bosses significantly more content to enjoy. In Fortress stages, you fight Bowser Jr., whereas castles house other bosses like a giant Goomba or a mummified Pokey. Okay, some of the bosses may not be anything special, but some of them are really cool, like the Monty Mole tank or the really easy dry Bowser boss. Oh yeah, Bowser suddenly seems to be affected by the lava and turns into a skeleton. As a kid, that's honestly really horrifying. You watch Bowser's skin melt off, and Mario, he just celebrates it. What the hell? Even as a DS release that came early in its lifetime, this game doesn't look bad at all. The 3D models translate well into a 2D perspective. Interestingly, most characters reuse their models from Super Mario 64 DS, voice clips come from the Mario spin-offs in the GameCube era, though Bowser reuses roars from the N64 games, which is honestly weird when you compare Bowser's voice here with other games from around the time. As for the music, this game introduced its share of new songs. The overall theme is now synonymous with the new Super games, particularly with those charming little bars. The game's soundtrack stands out from its sequels, especially given that very few tunes from this installment are reused in later games. This Mario ROM has some nice side modes to keep your interest. One is in the form of mini-games. These can be played in single or multiplayer and make good use of the DS hardware. You'll notice that many of these games come from Super Mario 64 DS, but unlike that game, you don't need to unlock them from the get-go. Another mode is Mario vs Luigi. As the name suggests, the brothers compete in special stages to grab big stars. It is 2-player only, and I used to have so much fun with it as a kid. This game has a lot to like. Seeing Mario and Luigi come back in a new, original 2D adventure is something many wanted for so long. This game introduced some great new power-ups and offered original bosses, unlike later entries into the series. The game and its side modes kept my interest peaked and kept me coming back for more. One thing that can be construed as a negative point is that this inspired a series of 2D Mario adventures that feel safe and flanderized. Frankly, I see where the issues come from. Although I like it when Mario stays in the straight and narrow, having modern 2D adventures that players save is rather limiting to what Mario could be. However, as long as Mario keeps having new exciting adventures as seen in Odyssey and Bowser's Fury, I'm honestly fine with having more games like this. I heavily recommend New Super Mario Bros. For the DS. While this series hasn't exactly aged gracefully with fans, the first game here was Mario's return to the genre he perfected after some time. And it certainly aged the best with the fanbase. But here's the thing, I actually like the other entries too, so... New Super Mario Bros. Wii is a 2D platformer. Shocker. The big new feature here is the multiplayer. For the first time in Mario history, up to 4 people can join in on the fun. And it is really fun to mess around, work together, or throw your friends into pits and enemies. Unfortunately, there are some issues here. With 4 players, the stages become more challenging to traverse as some levels seem more catered to one person, but then others seem barren to allow for multiplayer. I recommend no more than 2 players if you want to enjoy a multiplayer romp and succeed, but 3 and 4 players can still lead to a hilarious time, just don't expect to 100% the game effectively. Most worlds in this game have a fortress and a castle, where a Koopaling awaits. This is the first time the Koopalings have been seen in a mainline Mario game since Super Mario World in the 1990s. While nowadays they seem like Nintendo's go-to lazy, easy bosses for games, back in 2009 seeing them return was a big shock to fans. There are also the occasional airship stages featuring battles against Junior. Enemy courses from Mario 3 return and are strewn throughout the world maps. These lead to mini battles against generic enemies such as Goombas and Ice Bros, and they're kinda pointless, but they're a good way to get some power-ups and some 1-ups. Wii has a handful of new power-ups to enjoy. The traditional Super Mushroom, Fire Flower and Superstar return, as well as the Mini Mushroom for the DS game. The Ice Flower isn't new per se, as it appeared in Super Mario Galaxy. However, it is new to 2D Mario, and it makes you shoot ice balls. Certain enemies can be frozen, but you'll need to either pick up the ice cube and chuck it at a wall, or perform a ground pound on it to dispose of them completely. Brand new to the franchise through this game are the Propeller Mushroom and Penguin Suit. Propeller mushrooms allow Mario and friends to take to the skies, then slowly drift down. They're great for stages with high-reaching platforms. Penguin suits dress the gang in cozy penguin costumes, and enable the ability to slide on their bellies. They also make swimming much easier and increase traction on ice, all while allowing the ability to throw ice balls, which kinda makes the Ice Flower redundant, but the penguin suits are much rarer, so it isn't a big issue. The man, the myth, the legend Yoshi makes his triumphant return in this game. Up to 4 colours appear, each assigned to a different player. They can eat berries and enemies, with berries allowing players to access power-ups when enough are eaten. However, Yoshis can only be used in stages they're found in. You can't take them with you from stage to stage like in Super Mario World, which is a bit of a shame. This game opts to use the plasticky aesthetic that is now synonymous with the new Super Mario Bros. Series. Many fans look down on this art style today, but at the time, this was generally seen as good looking. It may not have aged perfectly, but I have a soft spot for it. Visually, everything is whimsical, colourful, and captures that Mario charm. The water stages in particular are mesmerising. For the soundtrack, it's pretty typical Mario fare. The basic ground level tune is remixed from DS, while most other songs are new, and will be reused for the rest of the entries. Mario, Luigi, and the other good guys have small voice samples, as do the Koopalings for the very first time. Bowser finally uses his actual voice, and Junior returns with the same voice as in Mario Sunshine. One little critique I have is that compared to the DS game's theme, the Wii game's main theme sounds less fun. I still like it, but I mean, take a listen for yourself. Wii has a fair chunk of replayability. The main story campaign is roughly 6 hours long, but there are secret stages to discover through alternate exits, like in Super Mario World. Every level has 3 star coins to collect. Their purpose is to unlock optional hint movies at Peach's Castle and access stages in World 9. Oh yes, after completing the main story, World 9 becomes available. This is very similar to Special World from Super Mario World, where players are pitted against the most challenging levels in the game. You will need to collect all of the star coins in a world to access each stage. For example, World 9-1 is unlocked by collecting all of the star coins in World 1. Multiplayer offers a few extra options. One mode has players collect coins with the objective to get the most, and another mode focuses on getting the highest score. These are fun diversions from the main game to play with friends that pit you against each other and just let you have loads of fun. The overall difficulty of New Super Mario Bros. Wii is on the easier side. While levels can be long and get more difficult throughout the game, a skilled player can finish this game in a day or two. There is a lot to love here. One is the fact that we have a modern 2D Mario on a home console. The art style is very nice. Again, many people think that these games look boring and outdated, but I really do enjoy it. Plus, seeing classic enemies and the Koopalings back with 3D models is pretty cool. Something that must be said about these games is the gameplay itself is really fun. The way Mario controls in a 2D plane is always really solid, and this game features somewhat smoother physics than the older home console adventures like World 3. However, 4 players is not the ideal way to play Wii. If you enjoy that level of chaos, more power to you. Otherwise, 2 people is best for multiplayer. I am also not particularly fond of Yoshi's infrequent use throughout the game. Perhaps it's due to certain programming limitations, but I would have loved to see Yoshi from stage to stage, not just in a select handful of levels. Would I recommend this game? Absolutely. If you are interested in getting started on a more recent Mario adventure, this is just for you. This can also appeal to older fans who want to relive a classic Super Mario Bros. Game style on a newer game system. And there is a reason why New Super Mario Bros. Wii is still popular and still has a thriving community to this day. The main gimmick of New Super Mario Bros. 2 on the 3DS is the focus on collecting coins. You'll notice that coins are plentiful about the stages, and there are new objects to make it easier to get more money. I guess Mario really needed to pay his bills this time. Raccoon Mario makes his triumphant return from Super Mario Bros. 3 with some changed up mechanics. The Mega Mushroom makes a return from the DS game, allowing Mario or Luigi to destroy almost every enemy in the 1 or 2 levels it actually appears in. New to this game is Gold Mario, obtained from the Gold Flower. In addition to becoming golden, or silver for Luigi, you have the ability to shoot giant fireballs that will turn bricks into coins and wipe out most enemies. It is insanely overpowered. However, the Gold Mario form is only used in a few levels and cannot be taken from stage to stage as it becomes a normal fire flower when you reach the gold. New Mario 2 uses the same general art style as Wii. In fact, most of the animations for Mario, Luigi and the Koopalings, and some art style things, are taken one for one from the Wii game. On one hand, this is rather lazy. For a new 2D Mario adventure, this game is essentially a dumbed down version of Wii with no original aesthetics. On the other hand, I like how it looks on the 3DS, and how certain world themes are merged together, like Jungle and Beach for World 3. It looks good. In addition, Raccoon Mario has some new animations, and this looks notably better than the original DS game. As for the music, it's almost completely ripped from Wii, with extra bars added for some reason. There's very minimal new songs here. Some new world map jingles or overworld tunes would have been nice. The 3DS's 3D slider can be used in this game. It doesn't do a whole lot, but it is indeed a thing that exists. The main story isn't that difficult. A regular player can finish it in a good 5 or 6 hours. After you beat the final boss, you unlock the option to play as Luigi in single player, much like the DS game. In both entries, he controls the exact same way as Mario does. This will be relevant later, so watch out for that. A more notable node in New Super 2 is Coin Rush. This is essentially a time trials-esque mode where you must go through 3 levels to collect coins quickly. It is here where you encounter DLC that you can purchase to add more levels through your playthroughs, unless you're playing in the current year, where the Nintendo eShop cannot be used to buy these DLC packs. Now, the overall objective in this game is to collect 1 million coins. You can keep track of your collection after finishing each level and on the title screen. Frankly, the prize you get for grinding 1 million coins is not worth it. I would not suggest going out of your way to do that, and if you really want to, just do it at a reasonable pace. It's not a big reward. Still, with Coin Rush and the extra worlds, New Super Mario Bros. 2 has fair replayability. Also, I have over 200 hours in this game. What have I been doing? New Super Mario Bros. 2 is very easy to pick on. The graphics and music are repetitive, the reward for collecting 1 million coins is lame, and there really isn't that much that is truly new or fresh. However, I have clearly had a good time with this game if my playtime is anything to go by. Though it's probably the easiest 2D Mario adventure, it's still good and fun to run through. The DLC pricing was fair, especially since it was Nintendo's first dip into the market. While they maybe do a little bit too much paid DLC now, this was pretty balanced. Stuff like this in the Mario Kart 8 Wii U DLC back in the day was always really fairly priced, so I think they did a good job here. My recommendations for this game are average at best. It really depends on your tastes. If you're sick of Mario being by the books, I don't think this is for you. I enjoy the game, but we'll concede this is where the new Super Mario series was losing its steam, and this is probably the one that I'm least inclined to go back to. The gameplay in New Super Mario Bros. U is fine. The core ideas are recycled from Wii, being a side-scroller that can support up to 4 players. The power-ups are mostly reused from Wii with one new form, the Super Acorn. This will turn characters into their flying squirrel forms, allowing them to float for a while and do a flutter jump like Yoshi. Speaking of which, Yoshi's return as rideable characters, alongside some new baby Yoshis. The babies come in 3 colours, magenta ones known as balloon baby Yoshis, with the ability to float for a small while, yellow is the bulb baby Yoshi who can illuminate dark stages and startle enemies, and then blue, my favourite, is the bubble baby Yoshi. You can trap enemies into bubbles that contain coins or power-ups. Unfortunately, the baby Yoshis don't grow into adults like Super Mario World, but the blue and magenta ones can be taken into any non-boss stage and found on the world map. There are a few things that are new in the 2019 Switch port of the game. One is some new playable characters, Toadette and Nabbit. Toadette is marked as easier, although her changes seem mostly like quality of life improvements. For example, Toadette has better traction on ice and can swim as if she always has a penguin suit. More notably, she's the only person who can use the Super Crown power-up to turn into Peachette. Peachette is essentially a glorified Super Acorn. She can float and flutter herself out of dangerous spots like lava or poison, and as one extra bonus, every hidden 1-up mushroom will become a 3-up moon while Toadette is active. Nabbit is the second newcomer. Labelled as easiest, this rabbit is designed for beginners to 2D Mario. He is completely invincible to most obstacles and has great traction on ice along with good swimming. That being said, Nabbit will still get knocked back by bigger obstacles and can still get killed by lava, poison, or pits. If you play with 4 people on the Switch port, keep in mind that someone has to be Toadette or Nabbit, as Yellow and Blue Toad share the same player slot. Much like Wii, I recommend no more than 2 people for a multiplayer session, or it's just a bit too chaotic for most levels. It is fun as hell though. Mario U reuses the same character models as its Wii predecessor, right down to the coarse clear animations, but now in stunning HD. The backdrops in particular look lovely and boast more detailed styles than previous adventures. I am aware of the common complaint that this game feels a bit too conservative with this aesthetic. I will admit that some new character models would have been nice, but I honestly don't hate the new Super Mario style, and in U they did go some way to changing it. Perhaps it was just a little bit too little too late. And the revision on the Switch is a bit sharper and more colourful than on the Wii U. As for the soundtrack, it's pretty alright. While there are a few new songs, most are recycled from Wii. Frankly, I don't hate the ba music that a lot of people seem to, but I concede that a newer set of music would be a welcome addition for the next Mario side-scroller. As always, every level has 3 star coins to collect. A good chunk of them are really easy to snag, while others are better hidden. The reason for collecting these coins is to unlock levels in Superstar Road, the final secret world, with some particularly devious level designs. This game has Challenge Mode, one of the coolest side modes in the series. Here, you are presented with a series of scenarios categorized by themes such as coin collecting or trying to avoid hitting certain enemies. While you don't unlock anything from completing these challenges can be a fun little diversion from the main game. Just like its predecessor, U offers a coin-based battle mode. I haven't got much playtime on it myself, but it seems like another way to keep you and your friends entertained. Oh, and then there's New Super Luigi U. New Super Luigi U is a modified take on Mario U where Luigi is the hero. Released in 2013 for the year of falling Nintendo stocks. The levels are shorter and harder, and there's only 100 seconds to complete them. Luigi is much more slippery and bouncy to control, creating a more difficult gameplay dynamic. It's a really solid experience, and I honestly think Mario U would have been better received and benefited more if it had the more challenging, fast-paced gameplay of Luigi U. New Super Mario Bros. U just borrows a little too many ideas from its older sibling. Now, this game was developed alongside New 2, plus it was a launch title for the Wii U, but it does make things seem uninspired and derivative. Another downside is that the Switch port of the game doesn't really add that much to warrant its title of Deluxe. I do like the new characters, but perhaps an extra world or so would have been neat. However, I really do dig the vibe of U. It's essentially a modernized take on Super Mario World, especially with the world map being huge, open world, and continuous. My favorite feature in U Deluxe is the option to choose a character in single player. I love playing as Luigi, the Toads, or Nabbit in single player. Not to mention the option to play as myself. One more good thing is the convenience of having a solid 2D Mario on the Switch. I can play this on a sleek console wherever I want with upgraded visuals. So yes, I like new Mario U in the Deluxe port. Would I recommend it? Sure. If you put aside the obvious similarities to Wii, this game is really good and fun in its own merit. And that's the thing. New Super Mario Bros., the entire series, is honestly really solid. The games are all fun in their own right, with DS and Wii particularly standing out as incredible gameplay experience. New Mario 2, U, and Luigi U are just too undervalued in my opinion. They are very, very solid games, and pretty good platformers. Sure, they're all very similar, but there are distinct gameplay, visual, and audio differences that set them apart. Except from 2, there's not really a whole lot there. This series gets a bad rep that I don't think it really deserves, so really I recommend every game individually, as they all deserve to be appreciated for the fun, silly platformers that they are. However, the next 2D Mario adventure, whenever Nintendo actually decides to make one, should probably have a new style independent of New Super Mario Bros., so as not to retread old ground. What's new is old after all. Anyway, I'm hungry. Off to the kitchen. Ah!